They said if you ever hear someone calling, puff puff, fresh puff puff, from the school gate after closing time, don't answer, because sometimes strange things can happen when you do. That was what the children of St. John Primary School in Lagos always whispered to one another. But no one really believed it. Until that day. Mama Kudi was the oldest woman anyone had ever seen. Her clothes were always dirty and torn at the edges, with oil stains that never seemed to wash away. Her wrapper hung loosely around her small bent body, and her feet were always dusty, as if she walked miles every morning. Her grey hair stuck out from under a faded scarf, and her face looked as wrinkled as an old-school notebook. Still, she always smiled, showing 2 missing teeth that made the children laugh. Every morning, she came to the school pushing her squeaky blue wheelbarrow filled with sweet things. Puff puff, buns, chin chin, and ice cream that somehow never melted, even in the hot Lagos sun. The children loved her. Mama Kudi's puff puff is the best. It's so soft. It tastes like sugar clouds. But after some children ate her snacks, strange things began to happen. Bola, who always came first in class, started forgetting her notes. Chaik, the fastest runner, suddenly became slow and tired. And Ada, who used to laugh all the time, began sitting quietly in class, staring at the window. Still, no one thought anything bad about Mama Kudi. She smiled sweetly, spoke gently, and called everyone my child. But in her small, dirty wooden house near the school, things were not so sweet. Her roof leaked when it rained, the floor was covered in sand, and broken cooking pots were piled in a corner. In the middle of her tiny room stood an old shiny mirror, dusty, cracked, and covered with spider webs. Every evening she would stand before it, clean the dust off gently and whisper, "Another happy child today." The mirror would sparkle softly for a moment, then go quiet again. One cloudy Monday morning, Mama Kudi came again with her puff puff and her usual wide smile. But this time, something unusual happened. A new boy named Tobi, just 12 years old, stopped in front of her. He was cheerful, polite, and always helping others. The kind of boy everyone liked immediately. When Mama Kudi handed him puff puff, their hands touched, and a bright light flashed from Tobi's palm. Mama Kudi froze. Her glasses shook slightly. Inside her mind, a quiet voice whispered, "This boy is special." She quickly looked away, pretending to smile. But that evening, when she looked into her dusty mirror, a tiny crack had appeared, for the very first time. That night, Tobi could not sleep. He kept hearing a soft voice calling his name inside his dream. "Tobi! Tobi!" When he turned, he saw a tall, glowing figure standing in the middle of his classroom. The light was gentle, like the moon. She smiled and said, "You are different, Tobi. Be careful what you touch." Tobi jumped up from bed, breathing fast. His mother hurried into the room. "Tobi, what's wrong?" He rubbed his eyes and whispered, "Just a strange dream, Mama." But deep down, he knew something unusual was happening. The next morning, Mama Kudi came to school again. Her old wrapper was stained with oil, and her blouse had a tear near the shoulder. Her hands looked rough and dusty, and her face carried the same tired smile she always wore. Still, the children ran to her, happy as ever. She pushed her rusty wheelbarrow and called, "Fresh puff puff, come and buy, my children." Her voice was cracked but cheerful. When Tobi walked up to her table, she grinned and said, "Ah, my special boy, I kept one just for you." She gave him a puff puff that looked round and golden, shining like the morning sun. Before eating, Tobi remembered what his grandmother always said. "Always say thank you before you eat anything, my boy." So he quietly closed his eyes for a second. Then something amazing happened. The puff-puff began to glow softly in his hand. The children gasped. Wow, look at that. Mama Kudi's smile faded for a moment, but she quickly laughed. Oh, maybe the sun is playing tricks on us, she said, pretending nothing happened. But as Tobi looked down, he noticed something odd. Mama Kudi's shadow on the ground was shaking slightly, even though she was standing still. He blinked and rubbed his eyes. When he looked again, it was gone. Mama Kudi frowned quietly and muttered to herself, "This boy is not ordinary." Hey everyone! Before we continue this story, don't forget to click the subscribe button on my YouTube channel right now. You don't want to miss what happens next. It is about to get even more exciting. That evening, Mama Kudi sat inside her small, messy house. Her room was full of old things, broken buckets, smoky pots, and torn curtains that danced in the wind. She stood in front of her shiny mirror, wiping off the dust with her dirty wrapper. The mirror sparkled gently and then glowed. A soft whisper came from it, saying, "The boy's heart is strong. Be careful." Mama Kudi smiled, showing her 2 missing teeth. "Strong or not," she said quietly, "I'll find a way." Just then, a flash of light blinked inside the mirror and pointed toward the direction of Tobi's house. Mama Kudi's eyes widened. She leaned closer and whispered, "Tomorrow I'll see how special you really are." That night, the sky above Lagos looked strange. The moon was shining brightly, but little by little, it began to change color, glowing red like fire. The wind blew softly, and the trees around St. John Primary School whispered like they were telling secrets. Tobi woke up with a start. He felt something pulling him to look outside his window. Down the street, he saw a shadow moving slowly, an old woman pushing her wheelbarrow toward the school gate. It was Mama Kudi with her dirty hand. Even from far away, Tobi could see her dirty wrapper dragging on the ground. Her blouse looked even older than before, and her headscarf flapped in the wind. Her clothes were so dusty that tiny clouds of dirt followed her with every step. Tobi knew he couldn't ignore this. He quickly wore his slippers and tiptoed out of the house. As he passed the next compound, a voice whispered, "Tobi, where are you going at this time?" It was his best friend Bode, who was sitting outside eating gala and laughing quietly. "Bode, Tobi said. "Come with me. I think Mama Kudi is going to the school." Bode blinked, his mouth still full. "At night? What's she doing there? Maybe she wants to clean her wheelbarrow." Tobi shook his head. "No, something doesn't feel right." The 2 boys crept through the street, hiding behind trees and fences. They followed Mama Kudi as she entered the school compound. She moved slowly, her wrapper brushing the dusty ground, her bare feet making soft prints in the sand. Inside the school, Mama Kudi stopped in front of the big mango tree. She set down her wheelbarrow, looked around carefully, then took out her shiny mirror. The moonlight touched it, and the mirror began to glow softly, like a little lamp. Tobi and Bode hid behind a classroom window, peeking quietly. Bode whispered, "Maybe she just wants to check her face." Tobi whispered back, "No one checks their face at midnight, Bode." The air around them grew cold. The leaves began to move even though there was no wind. Mama Kudi lifted the mirror higher, and for a second, the light from it flashed across the boys' faces. Tobi felt his hand grow warm. The same strange light from before returned. Mama Kudi turned sharply, her dirty wrapper twisting with the wind. Her eyes widened when she saw a soft glow from where the boys were hiding. She gasped, pointing at Tobi. "You again? What are you doing here?" Tobi stood up slowly. "Mama Kudi," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I know something about you isn't normal." Mama Kudi's hands shook. "You should not have followed me," she whispered. But before she could move, a loud sound came from the sky. Boom! The red moon flickered like lightning, and a bright beam of light shone straight onto Tobi. The ground trembled. Mama Kudi dropped her mirror in shock. It rolled across the sand and stopped near Tobi's feet. He looked down at it. The mirror's surface glowed, and inside, a small image began to form. It was Tobi's own reflection, surrounded by light. The red moon shone brightly over St. John Primary School. Tobi stood still, holding the shiny mirror that had rolled to his feet. Bode hid behind the classroom wall, whispering, "Tobi, please let's go home before my mother finds out I'm not in bed." But Tobi didn't move. The light from the mirror was growing stronger, and his hands felt warm again. Mama Kudi stood across from him, breathing heavily. Her dirty wrapper was covered in sand, and her grey scarf hung loose around her neck. Her face looked tired, her eyes wide with surprise. "You don't understand, boy," she said softly. "This mirror, it gives me what I need to stay alive." Her voice trembled as she stepped closer, her rough feet scraping the ground. "I never meant to hurt anyone. I only wanted to feel young again." Tobi looked at her sadly. "Then why did you take from others?" he asked. Mama Kudi's eyes watered. "Because I was forgotten. No one cared anymore." For a moment, Tobi felt sorry for her. But then, the mirror began to shine even brighter. The glow surrounded Tobi like a soft golden cloud. The light was warm and peaceful. Not scary, not strong, just kind. Mama Kudi lifted her hands to cover her eyes. What is that light?" she cried. Tobi's voice sounded calm and brave. "Maybe it's the power of doing good. Maybe it's what everyone has inside them." The ground stopped shaking. The moon slowly turned back to white. The mirror's light dimmed, and Tobi gently placed it on the ground. Mama Kudi looked smaller now, her shoulders bent, her face full of tears. She sat down under the mango tree, whispering, "Maybe it's time for me to rest." Tobi nodded. "Rest and be kind again, Mama Kudi." She gave a weak smile, showing her missing teeth. "You're a good boy, Tobi. Keep your light shining." The wind blew softly. When Tobi blinked, Mama Kudi was gone. Her dirty wrapper lay folded neatly under the tree, and her old wheelbarrow was empty. Only the mirror remained, cracked but glowing gently. Bode ran up, eyes wide. "Tobi, she's gone. You're like a hero now." Tobi laughed, shaking his head. "No, Bode. I'm just a boy who wanted to help." As they started walking home, the moonlight shone on Tobi's hand. The same hand that had glowed before. For a second, it sparkled again. Bode noticed and said, "Uh-oh, that light is back." Tobi smiled. Maybe it's not over yet. And just then, far away, deep inside the cracked mirror lying under the mango tree, a tiny flicker of red light blinked again.